Russia launched one of its biggest airstrikes on Ukraine overnight into Tuesday, mainly targeting homes and power plants. The attack was made up of 450 drones and 70 missiles, according to Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. He also urged for more air defense ahead of US-brokered peace talks in Abu Dhabi on Wednesday. The aerial assault focused on Ukraine's power grid as part of Moscow's campaign to deny civilians of electricity, heating and running water during the coldest winter in years, as temperatures drop as low as -20 degrees. On Tuesday morning, Kyiv residents were busy clearing up after strikes damaged and set fire to residential buildings, a kindergarten and a petrol station.
І такий залп, наче вогонь, і вікно просто вилітає. У мене, слава Богу, вціліло вікно, але у сусідів половини просто вилітали всі вікна. Це дуже страшно. Тут взагалі будинку немає, всюди немає.
Thermal power plants operated by DTEK, Ukraine's largest energy company, were hit for a 9th time since October. Kyiv, Kharkiv, Odessa, Sumy and Vinnytsia were among the most heavily hit regions in the attacks, which left at least 10 people injured. Meanwhile, talks between the US, Russia and Ukraine in Abu Dhabi are scheduled for Wednesday and Thursday, yet an agreement appears distant despite Washington's ongoing push. Sweden and Denmark will jointly procure mobile anti-aircraft artillery systems worth €245 million for Ukraine, as the country experienced one of its worst nights of overnight attacks. Sweden will contribute $199 million and Denmark the remainder to supply Ukraine with a mobile anti-aircraft artillery system. The two countries' defense ministers said in a press conference.
Well, we see that Russia has been stepping up its long-range strike capabilities across the whole of Ukraine. On a daily basis, we are met with the news that civilians are dying due to the Russian brutality. This is a very important element of force protection for the civilian population. I hope also it will increase the resilience of the Ukrainian people, which I think has been very inspiring to follow.
The system was developed at record pace and adapted based on battlefield lessons from Russia's all-out war in Ukraine, Johnson said. The donation would be sufficient for Kyiv to establish its own air defense battalion. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky has repeatedly asked his allies to help strengthen the country's air defenses. Meanwhile, NATO chief Mark Rutte was in Kyiv alongside Zelensky to honor the country's fallen soldiers. Rutte laid a memorial candle at a monument dedicated to Ukraine's war dead as air raid sirens sounded across the capital.
It is designed to work with artillery or with FPVs as what we call the RSTA, Reconnaissance Surveillance Target Acquisition. So basically, it's a low altitude, up to 2 kilometers above ground system, which allows you to identify the targets and adjust the fires of the artillery. This is very different because it's paid to the Ukrainians, right? Right. Oh, okay. They transfer it to. Yeah, I wouldn't imagine you donated that. We are not going to sell that to
This shows the capabilities that small countries have and have to be exploited by the European Union. As I said before, we have niche capabilities and on very high-tech products, and this has to be taken seriously into account from the European Union and also from our partners.
Former President Bill Clinton and former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton have agreed late on Monday to testify in a U.S. House of Representatives investigation into convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. The move comes after Chairman of the House Oversight Committee James Comer advanced contempt of Congress proceedings against the pair amid months of political wrangling. Comer had moved the contempt resolution through the House Rules Committee, a final hurdle before it headed to the House floor for a vote. Congress has never held a former president in contempt, a process which requires compliance through testimony and comes paired with substantial fines and prison time. The Republican lawmaker said he is not immediately dropping contempt charges against the Clintons, saying a deal for their depositions hadn't been finalized yet. The Clintons had earlier tried to negotiate their cooperation through means other than depositions, though Comer had refused. A vote on the House floor would, however, be detrimental to the Clintons, as 9 of the oversight panel's Democrat lawmakers support the charges against Bill and 3 against Hillary. Bill Clinton's well-documented relationship with Jeffrey Epstein in the late 1990s and early 2000s has re-emerged as a focal point for Republicans in the push for a reckoning over Epstein.
Do you think you're the devil himself?
31 years after its first presentation, Requiem for the End of Love by Dimitris Papayioannou and Yorgos Koumendakis returned to the main stage of the Greek National Opera in the Greek capital. First created in 1995, the work was conceived in memory of lives lost to AIDS. In 2026, it returned unchanged at its core. Across 12 performances, more than 16,000 people attended the production, with tickets selling out within 2 hours. On stage, 48 performers, 23 musicians from the Greek National Opera Orchestra, 25 singers of the Mizon Ensemble and 2 sopranos in a production moving between opera, visual installation and physical endurance. The music by Koumendakis, based on the poem Lazarus by Dimitrios Kapetanakis, was performed under the direction of Theodoros Kourentsis. Dimitris Papayioannou is internationally recognized for his cross-disciplinary work in theater, dance and visual art, and as the creative director of the opening and closing ceremonies of the Athens 2004 Olympic Games. Yorgos Koumendakis is currently the artistic director of the Greek National Opera. The production now prepares to travel to Paris in November 2027.
Finland is a global leader in icebreaking, in operating and constructing and designing icebreakers, because we are the only country in the whole world where all the ports may freeze.
We will be building 2 ASC that means Arctic security cutters here as soon as we get the negotiations finalized with the US Coast Guard. Presence in Arctic seems to be very important, and we are the fastest shipyard to build that kind of vessels.
The climate is changing, and it's actually exceptionally warm in the Arctic area right now. It is not possible to to sail across the Arctic Sea without icebreakers. And many big nations have interests on the Arctic area right now, and that is why icebreakers are very interesting right now.
You're confident. You're strong. You're beautiful. You're the greatest of all time.
Let me tell you something. In this life, you're either a winner or you're a loser. Y'all want to work in a steel mill like me for the rest of your days? No, sir. Yeah, because I sure as hell don't. Y'all willing to fight for it?
Yes, sir.
I need to hear you a little louder. Y'all willing to fight for it?
Yes, sir.
Ready whenever you are, Michael.
You know what I'm after? You want to be the biggest star in the world.
We need to capitalize on Michael's success. Because the Jackson family is the brand. That's our Coca-Cola. And we need to start selling. So I'm planning an international tour. This is just the beginning.